Hello there, folks. My name is Spoonks, and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show where I break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did. So let's get started. Number 5 was The King's Man, making 1.7 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of 31 million and a worldwide total of 105 million. So this movie continues to impress me with how well it does at the box office. It's not a breakout hit, and in all honesty, it's not really doing all that well, but just for the fact of the matter with how strong its legs has been and for how long it's been in the top 5, and with so many other movies it outlasted, like The Matrix, American Underdog, and even the 355 recently, shows just how strong word of mouth is for this movie. It clearly has a specific audience that will encourage others to go check it out and see it, which is honestly really impressive once again. And that's basically how I'm going to judge this movie for however long it's in the top 5, just how impressed I am with it, because it's honestly more positive than with how successful it is, because let's just face it, I said it 100 times before, but this movie is not doing it. But just for the mere factor of how long it's been in the top 5 and for how well it has been able to last since it opened in theaters is quite impressive. Once again, I do believe if the film received better marketing and if maybe it kept one of its earlier release dates, it probably could have been a sleeper hit at the box office. Maybe not being one of the biggest blockbusters of the year, but it could have certainly done something similar to maybe like The Conjuring 3 or even Cruella. So yeah, once again, I will admit I am quite impressed with how well this movie has done since it opened a couple weeks ago. It's not doing great, but given the very, very low expectations for how well this movie was going to do going in, I gotta be honest, it's doing a lot better than I thought it would. So, props to you, The King's Man. Number 4 was Redeeming Love, opening to 3.5 million this weekend domestically, and that total stays the same worldwide as it hasn't been released in any internet market. But aside from that, this was pretty much what I expected, and I think what all of us expected with this movie. There was barely any marketing, no little buzz. I don't think a whole lot of people were all that aware that this movie was actually coming out this weekend. It was a very slow weekend, but it managed to crack in the top 5, so I gotta talk about it. And yeah, once again, there's not a whole lot to talk about though, because the movie didn't really make all that much, and I wasn't expecting it to make all that much. And outside of the word of mouth, the reviews have been astonishingly bad. This is one of the worst reviewed movies I have seen in quite some time. It's honestly impressive with how many people and critics hated this movie, honestly. So, yeah, I think this movie is probably dead on arrival. It probably won't last in the top 5 for much longer. So yeah, to reiterate, not a whole lot to talk about. It did as much as I thought it would. Let's see where this takes the film, but like I said before, don't expect it to be in the top 5 for much longer. Number 3 was Sing 2, making 5.7 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of 128 million and a worldwide total of 241 million. So this movie continues to do really well, so much so that not only did it enter the top 10 highest grossing movies of 2021 domestically, but it was able to surpass both Free Guy and Ghostbusters Afterlife's domestic totals and enter to the chart at number 9, which is incredible. The fact that an animated film was able to not only make as much as this movie did, but enter the top 10 highest grossing films of the year is quite an achievement, especially during a year where, while animated films weren't doing horribly, it wasn't as on par as previous years. However, while this is very good, and I'm very happy that I was able to cross this milestone, I don't think it's going to move up to number 8 just because the gap between this film's 128 domestic total and the number 8 spot, which is A Quiet Place 2, which made 160 million domestically, is quite large. But that doesn't mean this movie is done yet. I still think it's got a lot of time to grow. It's definitely going to cross 130 million domestically probably in the coming days, and I think it's even got enough in itself to cross 145 million domestically, which is again not a bad total for this movie. It has more than doubled its budget worldwide, and to cross that milestone would be even huge. Speaking of worldwide, this movie also crossed another milestone and became the highest grossing family and animated film of the post-pandemic worldwide, surpassing Encanto's 223 million worldwide total, which is outstanding. And keep in mind, the film has still a couple markets to release. It still needs to release in the UK and I believe Japan, which, by the way, doesn't get it until March, so they got a while. And I believe the UK gets it this Friday. I could be wrong. But yeah, even with those two markets out of the picture right now, the film continues to do very well and provides an outlet for families to go check it out at the theater, even with it now being available to watch at home on demand for now a lowered price of $19.99, and another animated film that is now at home on Prime Video, Hotel Transylvania 4, being available to watch. People are still going to check out Sing 2 at the theaters, which is impressive. It's still got lots of time before the next big family animated movies comes out once again. So yeah, another solid weekend for Sing 2, and it looks like it's going to continue to do really well for many weeks to come. Rinse and repeat, but what can I say? This movie does very well. Number 2 was Scream 5, making 12 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of 51 million and a worldwide total of 84 million. So it was fun while it lasted, being the number 1 film at the box office, but unfortunately this movie took quite a hit this weekend. In fact, it took the biggest hit out of any of the movies released in the top 5, falling 59% this weekend. That is a steep drop off for any movie, and while yes, the way I'm saying it makes it sound really bad, in all honesty, this movie is still doing very well for itself despite this bump in the road. Let me state that once again, 59% drop off is not good for any movie, but for horror films, this is what you've come to expect from many of them. In fact, this is honestly on par with A Quiet Place Part 2's second week drop off. And even with this 59% drop off, the movie is still doing very well. It is more than doubled its initial budget of 24 million. It's about to cross 100 million worldwide, and it's already outgrossed the previous entry in the film franchise, Scream 4, which is really impressive. This movie is still doing very solid right now. I think it's definitely going to be one of the first big hits of the year, given the lack of competition for this movie and how strong word of mouth and reviews have been for this movie. Honestly, even once again, with this minor bump in the road, I don't think anyone's too worried with how well this movie is going to do. I still think Paramount and everyone who worked and made this movie is satisfied. I'm pretty sure everyone who saw and liked this movie is satisfied with this film's total and how well it's doing right now. And yeah, all around, once again, despite a minor bump in the road for this movie, I won't deny and say this film is still doing very well at the box office right now. It might need to pick up some pace a bit after this, but I still think it has a shot at being very successful. And finally, let's end the video off with the number 1 movie of the weekend, and that was, once again, Spider-Man No Way Home, making $14 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $720 million and a worldwide total of $1.6 billion. What? This is an anomaly. This is insane. I thought we were done. I thought it was over. This movie was on its way out. We had a new champion, but nope. as you can see, with a very tight race for the number one spot, just a $2 million difference between this and Scream 5, Spider-Man reclaimed the number one spot. The power this movie has, this is insane. The fact that it was knocked down, but it got up again like the song implied is just an anomaly. Once again, I don't know how to describe it. This is insane. It's flabbergasting, and it just, once again, it just shows how successful this movie is. People are still going out to see it despite it being over a month old, and basically everyone who saw it has already seen it twice now. It should be done. It should be at like number 3 at this point. But given the lack of competition right now and how well received this movie is, it managed to dethrone the original champion of the box office last week, which once again is insane. In regards to all-time grosses, it surpassed Jurassic World and The Lion King worldwide, which is impressive, and there's still no real sudden movement on the charts domestically. It's still quite a gap between this and, I believe, Avatar, but even if so, once again, this movie is a juggernaut. It's doing insanely well. I don't know what else to say, because this movie seems like it could fall out, but it just picks itself back up again. So I guess we have to wait and see for the next movie to dethrone Spider-Man No Way Home. What will that be? I don't even know anymore. It could be Jackass Forever or Moonfall, but seeing the power this movie has, I starting to worry for those movies in advance. Maybe this movie might continue to make even more money when those movies comes out. But as for right now, this is still insane to believe, and the fact that it actually happened did just bravo, Spider-Man. Bravo. And those were the top 5 domestic box office results for this weekend, and normally this would be the part of the video where I discuss the upcoming new movies hitting theaters this weekend and where I think they would land in the top 5, but for the first time since, I believe, April of 2021, there are no new major wide releases hitting theaters this weekend. There originally was supposed to be one when Morbius was supposed to come out this Friday, but that got pushed back to April Fool's Day. So there is nothing of interest coming out in theaters this weekend. So I can't believe I have to say this for the second week in a row, but don't be surprised if there isn't a box office chat next week due to the lack of new films hitting the top 5. But if there is like a major shakeup in the box office top 5, like maybe if Scream overtakes Spider-Man again, or somehow Redeeming Love manages to surpass current expectations, I'll be sure to discuss those changes and where those movies land on the next box office chat. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you all think of the results? Were you satisfied, unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all the social media links right there. And until next time, everyone, stay sharp.